I'm Oral Hershiser, and I am on Blue Review.
And then you're going to unmute Marcus and Greg's audio.
Gotcha.
And then that's the next player, Tom Green.
Hey, this is Sean Green. You're watching the Blue Review.
Wait. Hey, welcome to a Monday morning edition of the Blue Review. Maybe not the happiest edition of the Blue Review, but we are here nonetheless. Presented by LAX. I'm Marcus Grant. It's Greg Bergman. Greg, how are we feeling on this Monday?
Not feeling great. It was a little bit of a rough weekend. There's a lot going on here at ESPN LA that is a little frustrating, but we're here. It's time to talk about a little bit of Dodger baseball. So it's always fun to talk about.
It is indeed. We will bring in our friend Jeff Spiegel in just a bit so we can go over the weekend that was, with the Dodgers losing 2 of 3 to the Atlanta Braves, including a couple of games where the offense really did not show up. It's becoming a theme. But first, I want to let you know that the Blue Review is powered by LAX. The LAX Skylink train is currently in testing, preparing to provide a direct, fast, and free connection to the new rental car center, the airport terminals, and the LA Metro. For more information, visit lawa.org/ESPN. First off, I want to say happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Hopefully your Sunday was a good one, wherever you are and whatever it is that you did. So get that part out of the way first. Next thing, bring in our pal Jeff Spiegel, who has been abroad in parts unknown and actually living his life aside from just sitting here and hanging out and waiting for us. So pop Jeff up there. Hello, morning, Jeff. I know he can hear us. We can't see him.
So here, you can talk about the games a little bit, and we just go help out.
All right, here we go. Anyway, Jeff Spiegel is here. We'll talk a little bit about what happened over the weekend. A 3-1 victory by the Dodgers on Friday to get things going, as they figured out a way to get to Chris Sale a little bit. The next 2 days, maybe not so impressive. The Dodgers losing 7-2, actually, both Saturday and Sunday, only able to muster runs via the home run. Saturday, it was a 2-run shot by Max Muncy, or by Andy Paz, I should say, in the 9th inning. And on Sunday, it was a 2-run shot by Max Muncy in the 8th. Otherwise, not a whole lot of offense to speak of. The last couple of days, kind of continuing a theme for this Dodger team since, pretty much since the part of April, I would guess. At this point, it's been. Hey, there's Jeff. Jeff, happy Monday.
I was ready for just like 30 minutes straight of Marcus Grant just monologuing.
Me just vamping right now a little bit. How goes, Jeff? It's good to see you again.
I think we should be good.
The vibes are not good. in Dodgers land. The offense has been bad now for a couple of weeks. If you look at the look on Greg Bergman's face, that's pretty much how I think the Dodgers offense feels. I think the number that jumped out to me is in the last 11 games, they have scored 1 or 2 runs 7 times. So they've scored fewer than 2 runs 7 times. Sorry, we have noise in our ears, and I have no idea if that's actually going out on YouTube or not.
That's what he said.
But,
I was like, I'm muted.
Greg, sorry. But yes, Dodgers offense, not good. And everybody, Marcus. That's, I think, the crazy part. Ohtani, 4 for his last 33. Freddie Freeman, Kyle Tucker, Will Smith, all OPS is under 800. Teo, OPS under 700. So it's been all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that everybody, the guys who are struggling in particular. I mean, we were hoping that Shohei was starting to come out of it. He was seeming to have some good at-bats that last couple games in Houston. He drove in a run in that first game against the Braves, but then it went right back to that. And I was going to say it continues to be everybody, but I think most pointedly, Jeff, it continues to be the number 2 spot in the order. And I can't help but feeling like Shohei struggling and the number 2 spot struggling are sort of connected to one another. When the guy behind him isn't hitting, it just feels like Shohei's maybe pressing and expanding the zone and trying to do a little bit too much.
Yeah, it has looked really bad, and I know we've talked about this. When Ohtani is not right, it's one of the ugliest looking not rights that there is in Major League Baseball, because as people have pointed out, he's chasing down and away. He's missing up and in. He's rolling over ground balls. He's popping balls into right field. And yet we've all seen this happen before, and then he absolutely breaks out of this slump. But it is, Greg, like looking at the numbers, I think it's his lowest OPS after 200 plate appearances since 2022. So this is a fairly unique start to the season for Shohei Ohtani, and everybody has their theories as to why that is. But on one hand, he's not the worst guy in the lineup because his numbers are better than a lot of other guys, and yet the expectations, the delta between expectations and reality for him might be higher than anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it. His numbers aren't horrific based on if you look at a full year-long set of numbers. But if you look at him over these last, couple of weeks, and then even a little bit before that, it looks really bad. Where he's chasing, he's not getting. I mean, he's getting attacked. There was one at bat against Sale where everything was dotted. He had no chance. I think it was the first at bat of the game on Friday, where each pitch was on a tiny little corner and there was nothing he could do about it. So guys are pitching him really well, but also he is having a little bit of struggle. I really truly will never believe the fact that the pitching aspect of it. I'm sure it has a little bit to do with it, but he's done it already. This isn't something new for him. I think that it's just he is going through it right now and pressing. And I mean, he's even gone out onto the field before games like he did in the World Series. So to get himself figured out, it's just not quite there yet. And it will come, and because he always will come. And we said it. I'm kind of getting tired of saying it because on lasting. Like he'll have 50 home runs by the end of the year. Maybe that's not the case anymore, but it's always still possible, especially with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. We all believe it's going to work itself out. It's going to come around, and it's just a matter of being patient. It's just been hard to sort of watch this team as a whole struggle because before it felt like even when Shohei was struggling, somebody else in the lineup was able to kind of pick up the slack. That hasn't really happened. Now, the good news is there could be some more help on the way. The expectation is that Mookie Betts will be activated today, returning after an oblique strain that has had him out for some time. And so, Jeff, I guess that begins the round and round game of who's the odd man out. It's America's favorite game show. The thought process, I think, for the last week had been that it would be Santiago Espinal, but you were telling us about Katie Woo's recent story in The Athletic that suggests maybe it's not.
Yeah, Katie had a nugget in there that they put a clause in Espinal's contract where within 45 days, they could basically release him without him receiving his full $2.5 million guaranteed salary. And you hear that and you're like, oh, okay, well, that definitely means they're going to DFA Espinal. But she added the note that has been renegotiated and extended, which means two things. One, they're definitely going to be DFAing Santiago Espinal at some point, but likely it is not today. My guess is, after reading that, is that it probably has been extended to coincide with when Kike Hernandez is going to be returning in 2 weeks. And so that leaves a question of, if Espinal is going to be the 26th man who sits on the end of the bench and never plays, it comes down to Alex Freeland and Ha-Seong Kim. And this is a really interesting conversation, not because the play on the field has been comparable. Ha-Seong Kim has been much better than Alex Freeland has. It's only interesting to me because Alex Freeland doesn't play the same position that Mookie Betts does. Ha-Seong Kim has been better, and yet he has been playing primarily shortstop. And yes, Mookie Betts isn't going to play every day at shortstop, but he's going to be playing most days at shortstop to start and eventually every day. And so to me, Greg, that's what makes this so interesting is if it's who's been better, clearly it's Ha-Seong Kim, and he can play second base, by the way. But if that was always the plan, if Ha-Seong Kim was going to be the guy who stays up, I maybe just would have guessed they would have given him a few more days at second base or some extra reps there. I don't know. So at this point, I would guess that Kim goes down and Freeland stays up, not because of anything other than the positions they play.
Yeah, I mean, I think the positions, like you said it, though, he has played second base. He played second base for them last year. That is a position that he does play. He can play at basically anywhere in the infield and in the outfield at this point. Maybe not so well in the outfield, but he can still play the outfield. But that's the type of guys that they like, whereas Freeland is not. That's the only way that I would start to think like, he has the positionality of a Chris Taylor and a Kike Hernandez, where you can put him basically all around the field to be able to use him in different spots, and the speed aspect and the much better at bats that he's had recently. But I think I agree with you that he's going to be the one to go down, just because they want to have Alex Freeland have a long runway, and they like his at bat qualities for the most part, and he has been at second base over and over again. I don't know. I think that for the most part, I think Kim goes down because they want him to play every single day. And I don't know if he's going to get that opportunity here. Even if he does play second base, you're still going to get other days where he won't be playing there. I think you have it right that Kim goes down, Freeland stays up for a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's not going to come back up. If Freeland struggles like he kind of has been, Marcus, I think that they'll make that switch as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's not an easy decision, obviously. As you guys mentioned, Kim has been playing much better than Freeland has, but it does seem like they're a little bit more committed to getting Freeland those opportunities. So it does seem like Kim sort of draws the short straw there. I think we're looking at a situation, though, where when everyone is back, you mentioned Kike's coming back. At some point, we're going to see Tommy Edman, although I know that has been delayed just because of some setbacks. It feels like all three between Kim, Freeland, and Espinal will probably be elsewhere, probably by the midpoint of the summer. But we'll see how that sort of goes. The other part of this, Jeff and Greg and I were trying to figure this out last week. I don't know if you have any insight. Where does Mookie slot in the batting order at this point? Yeah. Mentioned the 2 spot has been a black hole so far this year. Kyle Tucker still hasn't fully, I think, locked in the way we expected. Where does Mookie go?
Yeah, the one thing we know is I believe Dave had a quote saying he will not be hitting first, that he's not moving Shohei out of the top of the lineup. He'll be hitting after him. So I think that could be the answer. I think he's going to slot somewhere in the 2 or the 3 hole. And maybe, we're talking about all these guys who are struggling, Ohtani, Freeman, Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, Kyle Tucker. Maybe that is kind of something that helps shake things up as you move some guys around, you change the at-bat, sort of the looks of the at-bats because of who's in front or behind you, and maybe that sort of resettles some guys down. But, I would guess somewhere in the 2-3 hole, it sounds like it is the plan with Mookie Betts. But, also, we all love Mookie Betts. Let's keep in mind Mookie has not exactly been a pillar of offensive consistency the last, however many months that when we've seen him. He had a great end to last season, but I don't know if we can just pencil him in to being an 850 OPS guy necessarily either. So I think it's good to have him back, clearly, and it's Mookie Betts, so you take him anytime you can get him. But my expectations are going to be slow played for Mookie offensively coming back from this.
Yeah, I think that's fair, right? I don't think we expect him to jump back in and immediately just start slugging away, but it's nice to have the bat in the lineup. Nice to get a little more length in that lineup. I don't know, Greg, did we figure out how this thing works out? Because we were talking about, do you hit Teoscar 7th? Do you hit Teoscar 8th? On paper, this lineup is really long. So far, it hasn't really shown up to be the case, though.
Well, it didn't look the case over the weekend, that's for sure. But can we give some credits to Kyle Tucker real fast before we go through that?
Sure.
Wow.
We have to he's been on base. He's been on base basically. I think only he didn't get on base on Saturday, I don't believe. But besides that, he's been getting hits every single time. He's been for a while. He's been on a bit of a heater over the last 2 weeks. He's been very good to the point, not to overextend it, like, oh my God, you're amazing good, but actually doing his job, walking, not striking out as much, and getting on base. So I'll give a little bit of credit there. It still needs to be better, but it's getting better. He walked 3 times yesterday and had a nice little on base hit streak. So besides that, Mookie Betts or the lineup, it's Teo. I don't think we have it fully mapped out yet, but for the most part, I think you move Teo down 7-8, and you have Pajes stay in the spot that he's at. I like Pajes in that 7th spot. I don't know if you guys agree with it, but so if in my mind it goes Shohei, Mookie, Freddie, Will Smith, Kyle Tucker, Max Muncy, Pajes, Teo, and then whoever is it, Kim, Freeland, whoever that last guy is.
Real quick on the Kyle Tucker, just looking this up. His last 16 games, slashing 273, 379, 455 with a 137 weighted runs created plus. So you're right, Greg. It's been a nice little stretch of games for Kyle Tucker, and I believe he's reached base, to your point, in every single one of those games except for Saturday's game. So yesterday the offense was terrible. He walked 3 times, so he's been getting on base.
Yep.
Jeff, what do you take away from this weekend series? They lose 2 of 3. They weren't particularly competitive offensively in games 2 and 3 of this series. I mean, it's May. There's a long way to go till October, and there's there's certainly a chance they run into each other in the playoffs. But what do you take away from this past 3 games?
I mean, if we need more good vibes, Tyler Glass now went on the injured list. Brock Stewart's back on the injured list if we want to add things. But I'm going to zag here. You ready for this? Eye test Greg Bergman. I don't know how he's going to feel about this one, although I guess the eye test might line up with this. Blake Snell came back, was expected to make a start in the minor leagues. He comes back, 3 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Box score says not very good. I think Blake Snell was actually pretty good in that game, and I was really encouraged by it. We talked about this a little on our show last night. He gave up 6 hits. The first 5 of those hits all had exit velocities below 84 miles an hour. 95 is hard hit, so these weren't even remotely close to being hard hit baseballs, and yet all of them dropped for singles. He had a 40% whiff rate, 16 whiffs on 40 swings. The fastball was up above normal average velocity, which for what should have been essentially a rehab appearance, all that was encouraging. So I thought if you want to have a bright spot in all of this, while the box score was really bad for Blake Snell, and you would have liked to see more than 9 outs completed by him, I thought the underlying stuff on Blake Snell was encouraging. And so there's my positive vibes, delusional optimism on what has been a bad stretch of Dodger baseball.
I mean, Greg, how were you feeling about Snell? Because the numbers alone were not pretty.
No, I'm exactly the same way. I thought I was actually very, very encouraged by Snell's outing. It was all soft contact. It was just like, oh, come on, that's going to drop. It just was over and over again. I thought I was happy with his outing despite the loss. This is the same issues over and over again that we keep talking about. I don't see the pitching being the problem. I see the hitting being the problem. If you have to score runs, you have to get hits, you have to get on base to be able to win some of these games. When you go into the 9th inning, I believe they had 3 hits at that point going into 9th inning on Saturday. They had 1 going into the 8th inning on yesterday. It's like if you don't get hits, you're not going to win games. So Blake Snell, I thought he actually looked pretty good, and it was box scores can't tell you everything. If you're a box score watcher, that's how you're going to think, oh, he was terrible. But if you actually watch it, it's the eye test to your point, Jeff.
Big exit velocity, hard hit rate guy over there, Marcus.
Yeah,
obviously.
I just don't use your fancy terms.
I've always known that. I mean, to your point, the moment I kind of realized it probably wasn't going to be his day was the Ozzie Albies 2-run single on a pitch that was like down and away, and it was like, I don't know how he hit that ball, let alone drove it to left field for a base hit. And I think that was sort of the point where it's like, all right, well, this probably not going to be his night, not because of anything he's doing. It just happened to be one of those days where the Braves, shout out to them. I mean, there is a reason they have the best record in baseball right now. They are playing really well. They're doing it without Ronald Acuna to this point. So, look, these teams will see each other again, and we'll see what the situation is when they do. Shout out to Justin Robleski yesterday, by the way. Goes 8 2/3 innings, had a chance to finish it out, except for a hit batsman in the 9th on his 100th pitch, at which point Dave Roberts decided to pull the plug on that. Again, another day, Jeff, where the box score line doesn't look particularly great. He had one really bad inning in the 2nd where he gave up 4 runs. But I think more importantly, they had really taxed that bullpen in this series. So I don't feel we need to give him a pat on the back for at least saving the bullpen for a day.
Yeah, it was such a funny start because you could paint whatever picture you want to out of what you saw from Justin Robleski. If you want to say this guy stinks, it's like, look, he gave up 7 runs and, a bunch of hits and whatever. But there's a way. First of all, we need to give him credit, whether you think he was good or bad, for going 8 2/3, as you pointed out. Then a gentleman by the name of Wyatt Mills, who I've been told is a real pitcher in Major League Baseball, came in and allowed an inherited runner to score from first, which sucked. But I mean, Robleski in the first 7 innings, he had 6 1-2-3 innings over that stretch. The problem was the 1 inning sandwiched in the middle was really, really bad. But what was so crazy to me about Robleski is I have been on every show that I've been on saying I love Justin Robleski. I think he's very good. But in order for this to be sustainable, he needs to start missing bats. He needs to start getting strikeouts. He cannot just rely on batted ball luck. The irony is that happened yesterday. The 25% whiff rate, 7 strikeouts, I believe, was the final total. And it's just like, okay, he did those things, which is what you're looking for. And yet then the batted ball luck that he did have kind of came back to bite him. So it was a very bizarre start because I actually weirdly, Greg, left more encouraged about Justin Robleski, that he is actually going to be able to tap into the swing and miss eventually. And I mean, look, he almost threw a complete game with 7 strikeouts in under 100 pitches. He was really close to doing that, which is impressive in its own right.
And then, so if you take out that second inning, which I know you can't, and also the 9th inning a little bit, or when he started getting up runs, but he was going 1, 2, 3 in every other inning. So innings 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, he was 3 and out. 3 up, 3 down, over and over and over again. He had a bad second inning, and then in the 8th inning, he did give up the home run, and then gave up another one in the 9th inning and had to come out. But the fact was, every other inning except for those few ones were very, very good and very efficient too, with a low pitch count. I mean, yes, the batted ball luck and all those things. As I remember, I was talking to Jean, my girlfriend, before this started. Like, look, he's going to get hit eventually. Like he gives up contact. He pitches to contact, Marcus, and there was going to be a game where he gave up 7 runs, and it just happened to be that against the best team in baseball currently, that's where he gave up the 7 runs.
Yeah. I think in the end, though, what he has done, the body of work so far this season, I mean, I guess he stays in the rotation. Everybody stays in the rotation now with Glass now going on the IL, so that sort of worked itself out, unfortunately, in its own way. But I think he's certainly made a case to be in the rotation for the foreseeable future, just sort of based on how he has played so far this year. Dodgers look to turn the page. Starting tonight, the Giants come in for a 3-game series. Jeff, are we taking odds on whether or not Dalton Rushing starts a dust-up with the Giants this week?
I think all the media attention he got, maybe he's calmed down a little bit. He's a little more aware, at least short term. 2 weeks from now, he might have forgotten all the media attention about his attitude or whatever else. But if you need more positive vibes here, Greg, the San Francisco Giants have as many wins as the Colorado Rockies. So if you're going to get right against somebody, welcome to town, San Francisco Giants.
That was kind of what I was worried about too. Remember, I know that you're talking about the Giants, and Giants are a mess, but it's kind of like Colorado. Houston and Colorado are kind of the same, where I was worried that they got all these hits and were looking so good in Houston and then just screw up against the Braves. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know. The Giants are an absolute disaster. The fact that the Rockies in them, that's crazy. I didn't realize they had the same amount of wins.
Yeah. Giants
what about
have
the White Sox? What about the White Sox being 19 and 21? What's happening here? These teams are winning games that were winning like 10 last year.
The A's are winning the AL West.
Yeah. The West Sacramento A's right now leading the division.
We are in the upside down at this point.
Totally in the upside down. All right. Well, tonight it'll be Roki Sasaki.
No, Dalton Rushing. Just be a problem.
There. That's
it.
Best. Roki Sasaki on the mound for the Dodgers going against Trevor McDonald, who's only made 1 start so far this season. In that start, though, he went 7 innings against the Padres, gave up 1 run on 2 hits with 8 strikeouts. So we will see whether or not the Dodger bats can wake up against the guy who looked really good in his 2026 debut. Jeff, good to see you, man. Hopefully we see you soon next Monday.
Yes, I will be here next Monday. And Marcus is coming on my channel Thursday. So Bleed Blue Live. If you haven't found it and subscribed yet, please go check it out. The one and only Marcus Grant coming on Thursday with me. So looking forward to that.
Very cool. Looking forward to that as well. Also, I'll be with Travis and DeMarco this afternoon, so you can catch me from 3 to 6 on 710 or on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. That'll do it for this edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. Stick around. This is Dono and Cap Morning Extravaganza coming up right after us. Thanks to Kasim for production assistance this morning, and back with you tomorrow to talk about Game 1 of the Giants series. For Jeff, for Greg, I'm Marcus. Been the Blue Review presented by LAX. See you 6:30, 6:55 here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. See ya.